Hey there, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to tell you a story about my trip to London. This is a true story. It happened to me a few years ago, and I think this story will help you learn English in a fun and natural way. So let me take you back to the beginning. I had always wanted to visit London. Ever since I was a child, I dreamed of seeing Big Ben, the Tower of London, the red double-decker buses, and the beautiful parks. I watched movies and TV shows set in London. I read books about British history. London was always on my mind, but there was one big problem. I didn't speak English very well. In fact, my English was terrible. I knew a few words. I could say hello and thank you. I could order food at a restaurant. But that was about it. I couldn't have a real conversation. I was scared to speak. So when I decided to book my trip to London, I was excited but also very nervous. I thought, what if I can't communicate? What if people don't understand me? What if I get lost and can't ask for help? But I knew that if I never tried, I would never know. So I booked my flight, packed my bags, and said to myself, let's go. Let's see what happens. The day of my trip finally arrived. I woke up early in the morning. I was so excited and so nervous. I checked my passport, my tickets, my luggage. Everything was ready. I took a taxi to the airport. The taxi driver was friendly. He asked me, "Where are you going?" And I said, "I'm going to London." He smiled and said, "That's wonderful. Have a great trip." I was so happy that I could understand him. When I arrived at the airport, everything was big and busy. There were people everywhere. I felt a little lost, but I followed the signs. The signs were in English. I could read them. I went to the check-in counter. The woman asked me, "Can I see your passport, please?" I gave her my passport. She asked, "Are you checking any bags?" I said, "Yes, one bag." She printed my boarding pass and said, "Your gate is number 15. Have a nice flight." I said, "Thank you so much." I felt so proud of myself. I had just had a conversation in English. Then I went through security. The security officer said, "Please put your bags on the belt. Take off your jacket and your shoes." I did everything he said. I smiled and said, "Thank you." Then I went to my gate. I waited for my flight. I was so excited. I looked at the airplanes through the big windows and thought, I'm really going to London. The flight was long. It took about 7 hours, but I was so excited that I didn't even feel tired. On the plane, the flight attendants were very friendly. One of them asked me, "Would you like something to drink?" I said, "Yes, water, please." She gave me a cup of water and smiled. A few hours later, she asked, "Would you like something to eat?" I said, "Yes, please."
What do you have?
She said, "We have chicken with rice and pasta with vegetables." I said, "I'll have the chicken with rice, please." It was delicious. Finally, the pilot spoke over the speakers. He said, "Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to land at London Heathrow Airport. Please fasten your seatbelts." I looked out the window and saw the city below me. It was beautiful. I saw the River Thames, the bridges, the buildings, the parks. I felt so happy. I thought, I'm here. I'm finally in London. The plane landed smoothly. I smiled and said to myself, I did it. I walked out of the plane and into the airport. Heathrow Airport is enormous. There are so many people, so many signs. I followed the signs to the baggage claim. I waited for my luggage. Finally, my bag came. I grabbed it and walked to the exit. I had to take the train to the city center. I followed the signs for the train station. I bought a ticket. The man at the ticket counter said, "That will be £15, please." I gave him the money. He said, "Thank you. Your train leaves from platform 9. I found platform 9 and waited for the train. The train arrived and I got on. I sat down and looked out the window as the train left the airport and entered the city. When I arrived at the train station, I stepped out into the streets of London. The first thing I saw was a big red double-decker bus. It was exactly like the ones I had seen in movies. I smiled and thought, this is real. I'm really here. I decided to walk to my hotel. I passed a small cafe and smelled fresh bread. I was hungry, so I went inside. The woman behind the counter asked, "What can I get for you?" I looked at the menu and pointed at one item. I said, "I'll have this, please." She asked, "Would you like a drink with that?" I said, "Yes, please." A cup of tea, I paid and sat down. I felt happy and peaceful. After my meal, I went to my hotel to check in. I walked to the front desk and said, "Hello, I have a reservation." The receptionist asked for my name. He smiled and said, "Your room is on the 3rd floor. Here's your key." I said, "Thank you very much." He said, "I hope you enjoy your stay in London." I went up to my room. The room was clean and comfortable, and it had a beautiful view of the city. I sat on the bed and said to myself, I did it. I'm here, and I'm speaking English. The next day I woke up early. I was so excited to explore London. My first stop was Big Ben. I took the Underground, which is the subway system in London. I bought a ticket and got on the train. It was a little confusing at first, but I followed the signs and found the right train. I arrived at Westminster Station, and when I walked out, there it was, Big Ben, right in front of me. It was beautiful and so much bigger than I expected. I took photos and called my family. I felt so proud. Then I walked to the Tower of London. It's a castle that was built almost 1,000 years ago. I joined a tour with a guide. The guide spoke English very clearly. He explained the history of the castle. I understood most of what he said. I felt so proud of myself. I also visited Hyde Park. It's a huge park in the center of London. There are beautiful trees, grass, and lakes. I walked for hours. I sat on a bench and watched people walk by. I felt calm and happy. On the 3rd day, I met some people. I was sitting in a cafe when a young couple sat at the table next to me. They were from Spain. They started talking to me in English. I was scared at first, but I decided to try. They asked me, "Where are you from?" I told them. They asked, "Is this your first time in London?" I said yes. We had a conversation about London, our favorite places, and our plans. I made mistakes. I used the wrong words sometimes. But they understood me, and I understood them. They said, "Your English is very good." I felt so happy. I said, "Thank you. I'm still learning." They said, "So are we." We all laughed. We met for dinner that night. We ate at a traditional British pub. We tried fish and chips. We talked about our lives, our families, our dreams. We spoke English the whole time. It was my best night in London. I realized something that night. It doesn't matter if your English is not perfect. It doesn't matter if you make mistakes. What matters is that you try. What matters is that you communicate. After 7 days in London, it was time to go back home. I felt sad to leave, but I also felt happy. I had seen Big Ben, the Tower of London, Hyde Park, and so many other places. I had met new friends. I had spoken English every day. On the plane back home, I thought about everything. I realized that you don't need perfect English to travel. You don't need perfect English to communicate. You just need to try. You just need to speak. If you want to learn English, travel. Go to a place where they speak English. Talk to people. Make mistakes. Learn from them. Speak as much as you can. And don't let fear stop you. When I got back home, I felt more confident. I felt more capable. I felt like I could do anything. And that is the power of travel. And the power of speaking English. So if you are scared to speak English, I understand. I was scared too. But if I did it, you can do it too. Take one step. Say one sentence. Have one conversation. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect. Just try. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this story inspired you. If you liked it, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment below and tell me about a place you want to visit. And remember, you don't need perfect English to start. You just need to start. Bye for now. Take care.